you're going to make a simple felted soap. All you need to do is take a bar of soap or a round of soap and some wool roving. We're sending wool around with you. You can use your favorite soap. You'll want to make sure the wool roving is somewhat flat so that you'll be able to wrap it around your soap when the time comes. So I'm just spreading that out. It doesn't matter if it has a little gapping in it because you will be doing some layers with it. See, some of this is bunched up more than others. This little piece of blue is bunched up quite a bit. So you can use the colors we've sent with you however you want. I'm just going to make a simple layer pattern here. You want to make sure the soap is covered going in all directions. I'm going to wrap around the long way first with this bright blue. Just going to go over it twice. It's all that's really necessary. And you can either rip at the fibers or cut them with scissors if you choose. I'm just going to rip at it though. And then I'm going to go around this way. And since it's already covered a bit, I don't need to go over it quite as much. So I'm just going to go to about there and rip those. And you do this as tight as you can. You can't obviously get it really tight, but you'll see some of these pull a little more easily than others. Some of the wool we've sent is merino, some of it's Corriedale. I think there might be a little Shetland mixed in. They all have slightly different textures, but all felt reasonably well. Okay, so I'm going to pull those pretty tightly. Clear that off of there a little. And get some of that there. Now I have a little soap exposed and I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to wrap some more of this wool here because I pulled more off than I intended. I'm just going to tuck a little of that in because you want to make sure you have the soap completely covered. So the next step is to take the nylon stocking that came in each pack. You're going to want to cut it off a little bit. And while you can felt the soap simply in your hand, once we get to that stage, it's actually a lot easier. Helps keep the wool in place somewhat. If you stick it into the toe of the stocking and then tie a knot here. So we've got the soap in the stocking. We're going to tie a knot. And that will keep the wool somewhat in place. For our next step, we're going to put hot water in a bowl. And I know that's hotter than I can stand it, so I'm going to add a little cool water. And now I can dip this in. Ooh, that's still really hot. I'm going to add a little more cool. So don't be like me and make it too hot. going to agitate this. You'll see it start to get sudsy. Typically when you make a wet felted item, you are adding soap and water to the wool and agitating it to get that felted state. I'm sure many of us have accidentally ruined a wool sweater or wool mixed sweater in the wash and we've accidentally felted it. This is wet felting on purpose. So in this case, since we're felting around a bar of soap, we don't need to add soap because there's soap already on the bar, obviously. So you're going to work on this till it starts to tighten around the bar. And you can, as you work at it, you'll feel it start to tighten and meld together. The nylon helps you agitate it. And you'll want to make sure you work all around it. You might want to dip it back in to add a little more hot water. When it starts to feel like most of the wool has worked itself together and you think you've gotten it all worked together, it's probably not completely. You're going to have to work on it a little after this step, but once it feels like it's all coalesced, we can take the stocking off and see how it looks. So I'm going to wipe my hands. Some of these soap suds off and cut this knot out and see what I have. And there we can see it started to come together really well. There's a few spots that need a little more work to get them tight against the bar. But once we work those down against the bar of soap, we'll be ready for the next step. If you need to dip down in the warm water again, you can. You can also do this over a sink under running water. Got a little bit there that needs a little more work. So when you think it looks like it's done and smooth, which obviously is a little hard to tell with all the soap agitation there, but you'll want to run it under cold water. Since I'm in the office right now, I'm not under a sink. I'm going to take this to a sink a little later, but just to show you how it's going to look, I'm going to run some of this water over here I'm going to want to work on this a little more here because you can see it's a little, needs a little work on this end, but it'll start to smooth out here, and when it's done, you will let it sit under a light or the sun or in a place where it's sunny for a couple days to dry. And then you can use it or give it to someone as a present. These make really nice little gift soaps for people.